now to Bloomberg Surveillance, where Case-Shiller co-creator Karl Case is talking about the latest home price numbers with Tom Keene and Ken Prewitt. Let's listen in.
These numbers, which are a little discouraging, and then what they really are telling us. We got to remember, first of all, we don't like to report numbers unless we're sure of them, so we wait till they close. All these are closings that have happened where the deed's been transferred. And they're also 3-month moving average. So what the monthly number, which I like to look at, is telling you really is what happens when you take out June over May, and you add in September.
Right. So
you were July, August, September is what this number really is. And it's not surprising that it's negative in all but 2 cities. Because you're dropping a pretty good month, the last month of the credits, right, and you're adding a month that's pretty bad, both seasonally and because of the credit being gone.
And Ronald, I want you to bring up this chart here, Ken, quickly before you jump in. Here's Case-Shiller up to the peak. We come over, and you can just see this flatness here rolling on. Folks on radio, you just see a 5-6 month stability here, way below where we were in 2006.
Well, there was a big, almost a mini boom that happened with prices starting in the spring of 2009. Prices began to come back, and so did the volumes. Existing sales went up to 6.5 million in November of last year. And that really had to be due to the credit. There's nothing else that explains it. It's taking off that way. And then as soon as the credit started to hit these bumps, it came down, and it came down to where you got people resisting the downward price movement and sort of dancing along a bottom with a definite little turn for the worst this time.
Well, Karl, what do we know about the credit? I mean, was it just people who are going to buy a house anyway? They just might have bought one sooner than otherwise?
Well, it's guesswork. I mean, you really don't know. Certainly some of that. And if it's 100% that, then it cost us a lot to get a few sales.
Karl, we framed here in the last 20 minutes Dean Mackey of Barclays Capital, relatively optimistic on housing. Chris Lowe calling for a 10% price decline in 2011, maybe even more than that. Where is Karl Case and Robert Shiller? When you go out a year, are you calling for a house price decline?
I'm dancing on the edge, I'll tell you. Bob, maybe...
You sound like an academic economist. We don't allow that here.
Well, I mean, I really am. I think it's going to be flat for a while because the background numbers, you've heard me say this before, the demographics are not good. We're not building any housing, but the vacancy rate is going up. That means the household formations have to be down. And I don't have a clue how far they're down, but they're not what we expected. And that's what's brought us out in the past. When you have sticky downward prices, we don't build any, and then the market tends to clear. This time the vacancy rate is high, and it's going higher, despite the fact we're not building anything. At the same time, housing is getting affordable, right? Prices have fallen a lot. Interest rates are 3.75. I just had one of my students bought a condo in Boston for $300,000 with a monthly payment of $900, right? So it's affordable, and that eventually draws people back, but people are still fearful. And the thing I keep pointing out is on the positive side, it doesn't take a tremendous number of people to get the market moving. There are 130 million units out there. Only about 4 million of them trade. So if you bump that number up a little bit with optimism, and if the economy keeps growing, even at a slow pace, I think it'll encourage people to hold out further.
When you look at the paperwork problem that's surfaced here, you know, where banks try to foreclose and the judge says, show me the mortgage, and they can't, is it even possible to calculate how long that's going to delay a recovery?
No, to be honest with you. Anybody says yes is crazy. They don't really know. But I'll say this: I looked at the foreclosure sales numbers last night. They drop off, but not anything like people imagined they would drop off. People said they would go to zero, and they're not. We're still processing these things at some pace. And the banks that jumped back in early seem to be indicating what the banks are going to do later. So I think it's going to be less of an impact than a lot of people think.